Russia hacking the election to elect Trump is the end of our democracy. Votes were definitely affected. Russia hacked the election to tilt it to Mr. Trump.
The Russians definitively hacked the election.
Russia did hack the election.
No doubt. The Russians hacked the election.
Yes, Russia hacked the election.
Fact, Russia hacked the election.
President-elect Donald Trump still not sounding convinced that Russia hacked the election.
The president does not want to come to terms with the fact that the Russians hacked the election.
President Trump says he still wonders if the Russians hacked the election.
If you can get him to accept that Russia hacked the election, see if you can get him to accept who won the Civil War.
If he admits it, it casts a shadow on his victory over Hillary Clinton.
Russia hacked the election.
Russia hacked the election.
Russia hacked the election.
Russia hacked the election.
Let's be clear, Russia hacked the election.
Definitively, Russia hacked the election, and Russia is doing it again now.
Election-related cyber hacking.
Cyber hacking of U.S. elections. Cyber hacking of the election.
Russia was cyber hacking the election.
Russia was cyber hacking the election.
The CIA, the FBI, NSA.
All of these intelligence organizations.
17 intelligence agencies
All conclude that Russia hacked the election.
If we find out that Donald Trump just theoretically was colluding with Russia while they were hacking the election, that is completely impeachable.
This dossier alleged a conspiracy between the Trump campaign and the Russian effort to hack the election.
The director of national intelligence, the head of the National Security Agency, the head of the FBI, all of these intelligence experts saying Russia hacked the election.
The FBI, the CIA, the NSA, the former director of national intelligence, James Clapper, I mean, they've all said this. So to believe that that's wrong, you have to believe they're all involved in an elaborate conspiracy to get Donald Trump.
Exactly. That's exactly what happened. So, today on July 23rd, 2025, if you look for trends, you will find that treason is one of them. Why? Well, we already all know why. The treason that Obama did commit against the United States and all the people surrounding him, they all did it together against Americans and against the rest of the world. So you just saw there MSNBC, MSDNC, CNN, Clown National Networks, PBS, CBS, etc., etc. All of those outlets were blaming Russia of colluding with Donald Trump for 2016 and 2024 elections. Twice they accuse him of doing that. Now that everything is coming out, all the truth is coming out because finally the Democrats are out of power and there can be transparency. Finally, after all these years, hopefully we're gonna get some transparency. We have beautiful Tulsi Gabbard, who is the director of national intelligence, again giving us some information. And probably this week she's coming out with some breaking news regarding all this case on the Obama's administration treason to United States and the whole world, basically. Let's listen to her.
Multiple intelligence community assessments released in the months leading up to the November 2016 election concluded that Russia had neither the intent nor capability to impact the outcome of the U.S. election. On December 5th.
We've been listening there to the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, continuing on what has now been a
See, it's CNN. This sketch is from CNN, as you can see right here. And they interrupt her because they don't want the truth to come out. They don't want the truth to come out. That's the modus operandi of the left. They don't let you talk. They lie over your truth.
day effort, not only with public statements like this, but
not over your truth, over the truth. There's only one truth.
Release of documents to attempt to back up the quite extreme allegation that President Obama is guilty of treason.
Extreme allegation or extreme lies?
Sort of conspiracy with Hillary Clinton, etc. In the assessment by the intelligence community at the time that Russia interfered in the 2016 election.
Multiple intelligence community.
So that's it. All the outlets, all the leftist, Marxist, communist outlets like CNN, MSNBC are trying to cover and protect their black messiah, Barak Hussein Obama, the Muslim president. Let's keep looking. Here, Benny Johnson, breaking news. DNI, Tulsi Gabbard unleashed on Obama and his cronies for their acts of treason and demands accountability, like everyone else. Quote, there is irrefutable evidence that detail how President Obama and his national security team directed the creation of an intelligence community assessment that they knew was false. They knew it. That's the worst part. If you tell me that they were actually literally investigating and trying to get to the truth, I'll say, okay, it was a mistake. But they knew all along that they were lying. They knew it would promote, here we go again, they knew it would promote this contrived narrative that Russia interfered in the 2016 elections to help President Trump win, selling it to the American people as though it were true. It wasn't. The report that was released shows in great detail how they carried this out. They manufactured findings from shoddy sources. Sorry about that. They suppressed evidence and credible intelligence that disproved their false claims. Well, remember, they changed all and they switched all the credible intelligence for those 51 credible intelligence officers. They work with their partners in the media to promote this lie, ultimately to undermine the legitimacy of President Trump and launching what would be a years-long coup against him and his administration. We're here today because the American people deserve the truth, and the whole world deserves the truth. They observe accountability and they deserve justice, just like everyone else. We all want justice. We all have to face justice. Why don't they? They also have to face justice, not because you're a politician and you are the spoiled little brat piece of garbage, spoiled by the leftist outlets. You're not gonna pay the price. No, you pay the price. Let's watch Tulsi Gabbard here again.
At President Trump's direction and with the support and coordination with the House Intelligence Committee Chairman Rick Crawford, today we've released a declassified oversight majority staff report that was produced in September of 2020. The stunning revelations that we are releasing today should be of concern to every American. This is not about Democrats or Republicans. This has to do with the integrity of our democratic republic and American voters having faith that the votes cast will count. There is irrefutable evidence that detail how President Obama and his national security team directed the creation of an intelligence community assessment that they knew was false. They knew it would promote this contrived narrative that Russia interfered in the 2016 election to help President Trump win, selling it to the American people as though it were true. It wasn't. The report that we released today shows in great detail how they carried this out. They manufactured findings from shoddy sources. They suppressed evidence and credible intelligence that disproved their false claims. They disobeyed traditional tradecraft intelligence community standards and withheld the truth from the American people. In doing so, they conspired to subvert the will of the American people who elected Donald Trump in that election in November of 2016. They worked with their partners in the media to promote this lie, ultimately to undermine the legitimacy of President Trump and launching what would be a years-long coup against him and his administration. We're here today because the American people deserve the truth, they deserve accountability, and they deserve justice.
That's it. You heard it. They've been colluding with all the leftist outlets in order to protect their agenda and their narrative, and they want to sell this lie to people, and sadly, a lot of people has believed them. Actually, the thing is that the best part is that everything is coming out now, and there's nothing they can do about it. Everything is gonna come out, and God help us, we will see people going to prison. We have to see. We're expecting people to go to prison, because if I don't pay my taxes, if I steal a fucking single nail, I'll go to prison. Why won't you go to prison? What gives you that the privilege to don't go to prison? Because you're a politician? Go fuck yourself. This is I hate this girl. We have some historic meltdowns on CNN after Trump accused Obama of treason earlier today. They can scream all they want, but the evidence is clear as day. That's true. Let's listen to these liars also.
Manipulate the votes, okay?
Right. In fact, they didn't even influence votes. They've had intentions of meddling in the election.
Again,
but they didn't
why are we talking about this? This is not the issue. You're trying to avoid this subject.
President Obama said that Russia did not manipulate any votes. We should note that because every liberal in America said that was the case.
All right,
noted.
You're doing everything you're possible not to talk about the fact that the President of the United States, the current President of the United States, just accused a former president of treason and suggested a prosecution of that former president.
Of course.
No evidence.
That
is
no evidence.
You can calm down.
No evidence.
No, I'm not going to calm down. Well,
I don't think he'll be
why
prosecuted.
don't you talk about that instead of talking about Obama?
Because Obama just undid 3 years of Democrat mythology.
See,
what?
Please let's not talk about this. I don't want to talk about your distractions. The problem is, this is what Trump does. He distracts everybody. He's talking about President Obama because he doesn't want to talk about Epstein. He's talking about the Washington Commanders and the Cleveland Guardians because he doesn't want to talk about Epstein. He releases the Martin Luther King files because he doesn't want to talk about Epstein. He's doing everything possible except talking about Jeffrey Epstein because he's trying to throw up distractions so that people like you, Todd, can come on TV and try to diffuse
I have tried
the
to
issue.
agree with you, and you're violently not letting me.
I'm not doing anything violently.
I've said he's not guilty of...
Wrong. You think the right works like the left, that they want to cover a scandal with a bigger scandal? No, that doesn't work like that, my bald black friend. That doesn't work like that. However, I saw some other stuff here that I wanted to show you people. Where is that? Okay, here we go. Let's listen to the president himself. Okay, what's his opinion on all this?
Tulsi Gabbard has submitted a criminal referral to the Department of Justice. From your perspective, who should the DOJ target as part of their investigation? What specific figures in the Obama administration?
Well, based on what I read, and I read pretty much what you read, it would be President Obama. He started it. And Biden was there with him, and Comey was there.
All of them.
And Clapper, the whole group was there. Brennan, they were all there in a room. Right here, this was the room. This is much more beautiful than it was then, but that's okay. I have nice pictures up. They came out of the vaults. They were in there for 100 years. This is much more beautiful. We have the Declaration of Independence now in the room, which wasn't here. I guess people didn't feel too good about putting it here, but I do. But you know what? If you look at those papers, they have them stone cold, and it was President Obama. It wasn't lots of people all over the place. It was them too. But the leader of the gang was President Obama. Barak Hussein Obama. Have you heard of him? And except for the fact that he gets shielded by the press for his entire life. That's the one they... Look, he's guilty. It's not a question. You know, I like to say...
It's true. Obama can kill a kid, can murder children in front of camera, and they'll say, no, he's just saving more oxygen for us. That's the liberal way of thinking.
Let's give it time. It's there. He's guilty.
That's it.
This was treason. This was every word you can think of. They tried to steal the election. They tried to obfuscate the election. They did things that nobody's ever even imagined, even in other countries.
Yep.
You've seen some pretty rough countries. This man has seen some pretty rough countries, but you've never seen anything like it.
You heard it from President Trump. But still, I want to show you something else that I saw here. That was the... Give me 1 second. I saw a couple. Okay, this one here also. Let's hear the president one more time.
From your perspective, who should the DOJ target as part of their investigation? What specific figures?
Okay, no, that's what we already saw. Yeah, they all have to be punished. Oh, him. He really has to go to prison. Alejandro Mayorkas, he's like the mastermind of the illegal immigration debacle. Sorry. Anyways. Oh, look at this. Unhinged. Whoopi Goldberg defends her Lord and Savior Barack Obama after Trump exposes his corruption. You can make this shit up. Does she realize how ridiculous she sounds? Okay, I want to listen to this. Let's listen to this third.
A sitting president just accused a former president of treason.
Your
now,
Messiah.
Do people realize how serious an allegation
yes,
this is? And
because
for
it's
me,
true.
Didn't the Supreme Court, under the guidance of this president, say that presidents have immunity? So that would mean that nothing
so
Obama did.
He has immunity, so he can do whatever he wants. He can commit any crime he wants, but he has immunity. That's what you're trying to say?
You didn't say no, that only you have immunity. You said presidents. So this means you have no right to try to take him to court because he did what he did as president. So how does that work? Is it only you who is clear, or are they all clear? In which case, President Biden might be, kicking some new stuff up to you too. Because if you say nobody has immunity,
wow,
or everybody, you have to decide which way you're going to go. A sitting president.
Each time this walking poop says a word, she embarrasses herself. What is ABC doing still with The View? The View should be dismantled, turn the lights off, everybody go home, and let's finish the nightmare. It's just listening to retardation. I lose IQ points every time I listen to The View. Okay, let's see this one. Justin, Trump says Barack Hussein Obama is guilty of treason and tried to steal the election. Yeah, okay, let's listen to
President Obama. It wasn't lots of people all over the place. It was them too. But the leader
it was the whole circle.
Was President Obama.
Obama was in charge, but there was a whole big circle. Anyways, we can see here that there is a lot of trending on Barack Obama's treason. I invite you to go check out your ex, and you're gonna find out there is so much about these people. Look at this, General Flynn. Let's listen to General Flynn. He always has something important and interesting to say about this kind of subject.
Was Mike Pence possibly involved in this?
Yeah. So I lay this out in my book as well.
Okay.
Mike Pence, was he a dupe? Was he unwitting? Mike Pence was used, no doubt, because there's another piece of evidence that I'm waiting to see come out, and I've asked, and I basically demanded that it comes out, and we know this is a really critical piece of evidence. Sally Yates and Mary McCord, who was head of the National Security Division for the Department of Justice, Sally Yates was the acting Attorney General, went over to the White House like 2 or 3 days prior to me having to be resigned and me being fired on the 13th of February, I think it was the date. So Mike Pence, Reince Priebus are in the Situation Room in the White House, and Mary McCord, Andy McCabe is the other name, and Sally Yates was the third name that came and briefed Mike Pence on a document. And Mike Pence he had Reince Priebus call me up while they were all together, and he said, "I just reviewed this document. The document shows that you talked about sanctions, something I never talked about ever. I never talked to Mike Pence about them. I never talked about them with anybody. Never talked to the Russian ambassador about sanctions. Mike Pence told me that he just saw a document where I discussed sanctions. So that document is either a lie or Mike Pence was lying. Somebody somewhere in between. What I believe is that Mike Pence. I believe that part of their effort was to try to figure out a way, because later on we now know from other cases that came out as well as mine that there was a 25th Amendment that was going to be put on the table further down the road. So this was an effort to get rid of Donald J. Trump. Now, somebody's going to have to ask Mike Pence. Now, I will tell you, Eric, not a big fan, never was a fan. I would have served with him, no problem. And did. I was very honest with Mike Pence in the interactions that we had. So somebody's going to have to ask Mike Pence, because I have not heard from Mike Pence
I hope, and again, this is going to be likely a criminal referral from the DNI to the Department of Justice, which means investigation. It's a criminal referral, which means these mean they have teeth. Now, when Congress talks about stuff, it doesn't really have a lot of teeth. When there's a criminal referral to the Department of Justice, they open up an investigation, and I pray, I haven't seen it, but I hope Mike Pence's name is on the list of folks they're going to talk to regarding all this.
Question Mike Pence. They're going to have to question Mike Pence. They're going to have to question him about that meeting that I just talked to. And that meeting occurred on like the 11th or 12th of February of 2017. I know that meeting occurred because he called me up. Reince Priebus called me up on behalf of him and said, I'm standing here with the vice president. I'm standing here with Annie McCabe, Sally Yates, and he mentioned one other, and I believe it was Mary McCord. And they had just read a document that was, to me, it must have been a complete fabrication. So somebody's not telling the truth. So those are individuals that are going to have to be brought in for questioning and all this other stuff that, and I'm telling you, Eric, and I think that, maybe Tulsi said this yesterday, but I know that she's going to do another dump maybe today, but there's going to be another dump of declassified information this week that is just going to be mind-blowing.
Well, you heard it. You heard that from General Flynn. He's another master of attack and defense of truth. Defense of truth and counterattack. So let's leave it here for now. Like I said before, you can just check on X, go to the trending session, and you'll see that treason of Barack Hussein Obama is trending today. For a couple of days already has been. And there's nothing hidden in between earth and heaven. Everything will always be exposed. Every lie will always be exposed. I'll leave it here for now. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much for subscribing. Thank you very much for liking. Thank you very much for sharing. Share, like, subscribe. Tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your family, your friends, your enemies, people who died. Call them with the Ouija and tell them to subscribe if you want to hear the truth and fact instead of the lies and bullshit you hear from CNN and MSNBC. So thank you again. Have a great day. And I'll see you in the next video.